other people, and they're making money off of those loans, and you get the benefit of that. They use that to pay you. Or they bundle up all your money in what's called a complex financial derivative scheme, and it all falls apart, and the economy collapses. That's another thing. But this is the simple idea, okay? Oh, it's too painful. Now, 5% equals what is a decimal?
0.05.
0.05, thank you, not 0.5. 0.5 is 50%.
If you're bad at percent.
Well, then you've got some formulas to memorize. Okay, so like everything else we do this year, if you got the underlying concept in an earlier class, this will go easier. If not, you've got more to memorize now.
You can use calculator though, right?
It's like scientific.
Yeah, but if you don't set it up right.
You just move it over twice. It's like something.
So yes, exactly. It's like scientific notation. Just move it over twice. Now, if I want to talk about what happens mathematically from, okay, Rodney said I put the $100 in there for a year. I get 5% interest. The bank gives me $5. Okay. One way to figure that out mathematically is if you multiply 100 times 0.05, that will actually get you 5. This is the mathematical way of saying 5% of 100 is 5.
This is already giving me. Because don't you like move something with decimals?
Yes, something with decimals, okay? I'm not going to go into too much detail on that. You guys have calculators, and unfortunately that's... Maybe we'll spend some review time on that, but I want to get through this concept first.
Two zeros because like 100 is 2 zeros and we would have
Jordan, just keep using the calculator for now, darling. I hate myself for saying that, but we'll go over this one-on-one, okay? I can't go back that far right now. All right? Now, here's what I want to have my mathematical expression say instead. I don't want to talk about the interest. I want to talk about the total money in the account. So here's a trick for you. You might just have to accept this trick, and we might have to spend some time reviewing it later. But if I multiply 100 times 1.05, what is 100 times 1?
100.
100. 100 times 1. And 100 times 0.05, we just said is 5, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, 100 times 1.05, like scientific notation, Jordan, just move the decimal twice. This gets me 105. So if you want to quickly say what happens when you add 5% to something, like let's say over spring break, I did nothing but sit around by a pool, eating food and drinking rum drinks, and then I came back and my allergies kicked in, and I didn't work out very much, so I got 5% heavier. Okay.
How much did you weigh before that?
So, well, what I would do is, however much I weighed before that, to get my total weight, I would multiply times 1.05. I'm pushing 200 right now, which at 5'8" is ridiculous. So this would give you your total weight.
Wait, what's the W thing?
Weight.
But for what weight? The before weight or something? Or?
Yeah, the before weight, yes.
Right.
And if I multiply this, this will tell me my total weight plus 5%.
Alright.
Okay? So if you put... I'm going to stick with this for an example for now. If you leave money in the bank, put $100 in the bank. A year later, you have $105.
That means
Okay.
they put 5%.
Because they put the 5% on top. We'll get that thought. If you leave that money in the bank for another year.
Would you get 10%? So 110?
Just $10 more $10.
No. It's actually kind of logical, but you guys are very good at thinking linearly. This is no longer a linear progression. You don't get $5 added on each year. You don't get extra 5%. What you get is 5% of 105. So follow me to this board for a second.
That's really complicated.
So you get 115.
That's really
No, it doesn't quite work out that way. Here's where you need a calculator.
I hate this.
You wind up with like a little more than $5, so you wind up getting like $110 and change at the end of that year.
Originally, but you said no.
No, you're for the wrong reason, and you were close, but it was for the wrong reason. So what happens is, the first year, at the end of the first year, you get 100 times 1.05, which is your $105. Now for your second year, you take whatever this answer is, which we know is 105, and you want to get all that money back plus 5% more on top of it.
Exactly.
So you multiply that times 1.05, and that will actually give you more than 110.
Will it be?
It won't be much more than 110. No, it'll be like 110 and some change. Okay? And that'll get you for the second year. if you still leave the money alone and don't touch it,
So you do 110.
well, no, whatever this total is, and it's 110 point something,
Why would it be?
Would you time it by that?
you times it times 1.05 again, and that would get you how much you'd have at the end of the third year. Fourth year, you keep multiplying by 1.05 again, because that way your total stays in there, and you keep adding 5% on it.
So you always times it by 1.5.
1.05, yeah. Now this is a very simple example. This is obviously a bank account where the interest rate is a very simple number like 5%, and you're not adding any more money or taking any more money out. Plus there's not compound interest, which we'll start talking about tomorrow or Friday, not sure which. So what we're doing is we're taking your $100, okay, your amount of money, M, equals 100 times 1.05, and you're multiplying it by 1.05 each year. So this is an equation for something that's increasing by a percentage.
What does M mean?
Money.
What does the T mean?
Time. Nimi looks like I'm lying to her.
No.
Now, this is the same basic idea as
Why would you put a T for time, but why would you put a T over 1
because that's the exponent. Because if we leave this alone for 5 years, okay,
So you put a 5 there?
yeah, and so like in 5 years, you'll have, though your money will be 100 times 1.05 to the 5th, which is 100 times 1.05 times 1.05 times 1.05 times 1.05 times 1.05.
That's only...
Is that how you would figure it out on your calculator?
No.
No, you put out your little hatch mark and put it in that way.
Is this easier than what we did last week?
Maybe. For some of you it might be. At any rate, the reason why we're doing this now is because this form of this equation is the same thing as multiplying as y equals a
Times B.
times n to the x. Thank you, ladies. Okay, now, who's got a calculator handy?
I do.
Okay, so, let's see how this works real quick.
Oh, no, I don't.
Your money, your time, your life.
I have good
Wow,
calculator.
that was so serious.
I know. Suddenly sounded like an insurance commercial or something.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. You sound like one of those cheap insurance commercials that comes on during Maury.
That's right, yeah, and I could be, you are going to die someday, and your loved ones will starve the moment you die. Unless you send me money now. Yeah, it's one of those guys.
I have diabetes.
Okay, when the year is 0, during the first year, all you've got is your $100 sitting in the bank. After 1 year passes, we already figured out you have $105. 2 years, take this, multiply it times 1.05.
Wait, take what?
Take 105, multiply that by 1.05, and tell me how much money I have in the bank at the end of 2 years.
110.25.
Yeah, you got a quarter.
Yay!
See, Mimi? You said after 2 years it would only be 110. You cheated me out of an entire quarter.
You could have gotten a gumball.
That's right. Exactly.
Congratulations.
Now, at the end of 3 years, if you multiply this times 1.05,
Scheiße.
you're getting 5%
I made my table.
of 110 and a quarter added. How much is that?
It would make a big difference.
115.76. What about at the end of 4 years? Multiply times 1.05 again.
121.55.
121.55. Here's where it's actually starting to add up. Now, rather than just $5 a year, at the end of 4 years, that would be 120. But now I got a whole $1.55.
Woohoo!
I can buy almost half a comic book.
Wow.
And now multiply this times 1.05,
Okay, we're going too far with this.
and just one more.
127.6. Wait, should I round?
Yeah, please.
127.63.
6.3. Okay, now, Sarah, you've got a good point. If I wanted to know how much money this would be in like 10 years or 20 years, this is a pain in the butt way to do it.